factories and warehouses aren't necessarily known to be on the front line of cutting-edge technology, but at last week's Consumer Electronics Show, industrial real estate was literally on the main stage. Jensen Huang, CEO of Nvidia, gave the keynote, and as expected, he talked extensively about graphic processors and artificial intelligence, but he also spent several minutes talking about how all these new technologies would radically transform the industrial landscape. So let's review what he said about the industry and also highlight a number of key points that should be on everyone's radar. I also have 5 predictions for how the industry might look in the future. Let's start with Huang describing the scope of importance of factories and warehouses and what Nvidia has planned.
There are millions of factories, hundreds of thousands of warehouses. That's basically it's the backbone of a $50 trillion manufacturing industry. All of that has to become software defined. All of it has to have automation in the future. And all of it will be infused with robotics.
Now, some of this is already happening in buildings all around the world. The car industry, for example, is largely automated, and companies like Amazon have been integrating autonomous material handling systems and robotics for several years now. And while these machines typically move in confined and predictable patterns, other companies like Boston Dynamics and Tesla have made big advances in getting humanoid robots to complete more complex tasks. But right now, it's only the world's largest companies that have incorporated this type of technology. I walk through industrial buildings daily, and the vast majority of them have not changed much over several decades. Ceiling heights might have gotten a bit taller, and the building materials have improved, but most companies who occupy these warehouses and factories have not adopted too much in the form of advanced robotics and automation. But in no uncertain terms, Huang said that all factories and warehouses will be infused with software, automation, and robotics. So moving from a small percentage of companies that are adopting this tech to all companies is a big undertaking. And here's Nvidia's plans on how they can make that happen.
In the future, every factory will have a digital twin. And that digital twin operates exactly like the real factory. And in fact, you could use Omniverse with Cosmos to generate a whole bunch of future scenarios, and then an AI decides which one of the scenarios are the most optimal for whatever KPIs, and that becomes the programming constraints, the program, if you will, the AIs that will be deployed into the real factories.
So here's the first thing to note. They're rolling out a platform where a digital twin can be made for a building that allows for simulating scenarios and conducting testing and optimization. Let's go to the next clip.
Managing high-performance warehouse logistics involves navigating a complex web of decisions influenced by constantly shifting variables. These include daily and seasonal demand changes, space constraints, workforce availability, and the integration of diverse robotic and automated systems. And predicting operational KPIs of a physical warehouse is nearly impossible today. To tackle these challenges, KION is adopting MEGA, an Nvidia Omniverse blueprint for building industrial digital twins to test and optimize robotic fleets.
Now, there's some jargon in that clip, but look at it this way. Nvidia will make it seemingly easy to create a duplicate copy of a building such that AI can analyze what's happening in the simulation before deploying it into the actual physical environment.
KION's warehouse management solution assigns tasks to the industrial AI brains in the digital twin, such as moving a load from a buffer location to a shuttle storage solution. The robot's brains are in a simulation of a physical warehouse, digitalized into Omniverse using OpenUSD connectors to aggregate CAD, video and image to 3D, LiDAR to point cloud, and AI-generated data. The fleet of robots execute tasks by perceiving and reasoning about their Omniverse digital twin environment, planning their next motion and acting. The robot brains can see the resulting state through sensor simulations and decide their next action. The loop continues while MEGA precisely tracks the state of everything in the digital twin. Now, KION can simulate infinite scenarios at scale while measuring operational KPIs, such as throughput, efficiency, and utilization, all before deploying changes to the physical warehouse.
So that's our glimpse into the future where warehouses and factories will all center around an AI-powered hub that monitors, reacts, and optimizes the building based on the endless amount of factors and variables. The ultimate goal will be to optimize supply chain logistics, predict market demands, and make adjustments to production accordingly. Now, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, let alone 5 years from now, so my 5 predictions are really just some interesting trends that I think are worth following. First, employment in warehousing and manufacturing could fall dramatically. We'll start hearing the term dark warehouse more often in reference to a building that doesn't require lighting, as everything is done by robotics and automation. 2. With less employees in the buildings and also the potential for fewer drivers on the road due to autonomous vehicles, we could see a reallocation for site coverage ratios, as there may not be as much need for parking down the road. If that land could be used for other purposes, it stands to reason that additional warehouse or factory space could be added to the same site. 3. Reshoring and onshoring could accelerate tremendously. The major reason we offshored so much manufacturing in the first place was cheaper labor. Remove a large portion of that labor cost altogether, and all of a sudden it makes much more sense to manufacture closer to where the end product is used. 4. These buildings will need a lot of power. I've been beating this drum for years now, and these new AI developments make me think we'll need orders of magnitude more power than we're currently producing. Either we're going to need to burn a lot more natural gas, or we'll need to commit to getting nuclear on stream. And every company and property owner should have solar on their radar as well. Being able to add an independent supply of power to a building might be mission critical in a few years. And last, there is a big risk that we will have too much warehouse space if all of this comes to fruition. New technology is being designed with the intended goal of making warehouses more efficient, and by simply cutting waste out of the system alone, it could dramatically lower the aggregate amount of space required. Then add in bringing more manufacturing closer to where products are used, and combine it with emerging technologies such as additive manufacturing, and we just might be approaching the peak of how much warehouse space we'll ever need. Now, having said all that, I want to wrap this up by talking about a potential negative with all of this. The most obvious is that these tech upgrades will require large capital expenditures. This is why I'm skeptical that all warehouses and factories will get to this level, at least in the short to medium term. And at least for the foreseeable future, the large companies that are using it will be able to create moats around their businesses, where small and medium companies will have difficulty staying competitive. Another major problem I have with technology is how quickly it becomes obsolete. Consider the phone or computer you're watching this video on. You might only have that device for a few years before you need to upgrade it to the newest version. And compare that to factories and warehouses, which have operated for centuries using very simple analog tools and systems. It makes me wonder if companies and property owners will get sucked into this technology vortex that requires constant upgrades in order to maintain operations. And all this might sound like science fiction to you anyways, because it sure does to me. And I want to hear your thoughts on this. Leave me a comment below on whether you think any of this is possible, or perhaps you think it's inevitable. And if you want to hear how Kevin O'Leary is planning on investing $70 billion into the sector, check out this video over here. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.